Hello and welcome to GVGCast. I am John Cartwright, and our dads are not here. There's no Derek, there's no Ash, there's no Steve, so we can do whatever the heck we want. And when I say we, I'm of course talking about Brandon Miracle. Hello, Brandon.
Hi.
Hi, and Daniel Arbor. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, John. What's up?
The, the usual format. We're going to follow it somewhat, but we're throwing all the rules out the window. We can do whatever we want. We're home alone. We're going to throw jelly everywhere, and our dads going to have to clean it up when they come back. But yeah, how are you feeling today, guys? Daniel, how
I've
are you
already got the
feeling
jelly out.
emotionally? Oh, look at that.
Oh, he's got your little she slime.
The jelly is here.
The jelly is here. But yeah, how are you feeling emotionally, Daniel? Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling good. Last week, I had a time. Like I wasn't able to be here on the GVG cast last week because I was helping to run Emblem Con, which is a Fire Emblem Discord only convention online. We hold it over Discord. We hold it over Twitch. I feel like I'm still advertising it now, but it doesn't really matter because it's over. But it was fun. We got to host some cool panels with some very interesting individuals, including those in the Fire Emblem community, voice actors that were just having a blast, crashing each other's panels as we were having it live. We raised $1,232 for Doctors Without Borders throughout that whole event,
Jeez.
which was really nice of all of us. That was
That's
great.
awesome.
There were slight hiccups during that whole event, but overall it was pretty good. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of talented artists that I would empty my wallets for often to support our community. But otherwise, yeah, it was a good time. That I was dead after that, by the way. I had on Monday was the closing ceremony at like 8 a.m. my time. It went on very long until we had our actual work meeting, Brandon, for our other job. And then there wasn't enough time in between for me to go to bed. So I just stood up until our other meeting, which was our actual like weekly group meeting with our little team. And I swear after that I stood up and you get kind of shaky,
Uh,
like you've been kind of cold or something. I was like, oh, I should probably lie down like immediately.
Oh no.
So I just passed out for a good long time, and I'm fully recharged again to do more fun and silly dumb things as people might have seen on our channel recently.
and a lot of this stuff is archived, right? You can still go onto the Twitch and find some of the previous streams if you want to.
Yeah, we still have a lot of VODs available on our Twitch for about another week or so at Emblem Con. It's just Emblem Con on Twitch, and there's a lot of cool things, from good interviews with our VAs to really silly fun things like me being a part of a English dubbing of Tokyo Morale sessions with our other mods, and also people with Persona, which we collaborated with this year.
I am
Yeah.
disappointed that the TMS dub didn't have any singing though. What's that about? I
Uh,
want to hear your
oh,
beautiful voice.
One of our moderators actually did kind of sing one of the parts where Kiria is singing a song there. The lyrics, they're not lyrically fit for singing because there's no rhyming, there's no like real thought into the stanzas and all that. But she did
Just
sing
say
it, and it was
Fire Emblem over and over.
pretty much. It has lyrics, but in translated English, but they're not really well like optimized for singing. So,
Uh-huh.
but I
That's
do
probably why they
appreciate the
weren't
try.
dubbed in the first place. Yeah, it always sounds a bit awkward when you dub songs into different
Mhm.
languages.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably one of the main components as to why it wasn't translated, because you gotta pay the voice actors much more for singing,
Yeah.
especially with a game that's heavily influenced with singing. So, but yeah, good time anyways.
What about you, Brandon? You didn't do Emblem Con, but what did you do?
God, what did I do? uh I worked on the new video that's up on the channel right now with Steve, the Wii's hidden add-on. So if you haven't seen that, make sure to check it out after the show. Um let's see. I also just did a big old video for good old Roger's base. He's currently watching Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time. And I'm editing uh his reactions into highlights. And the second episode just went up today. It's the entirety of book 2. It's nearly an hour long, so enjoy enjoy that if that's something you're interested in. Other than that, I'm just vibing. That's where I'm at
Just
right now.
vibing. Just vibing. I'm furious. I'm fuming right now, and I have been all day because
Uh-oh.
I've already vented to you guys about this, but I've not watched the Chip and Dale movie yet. And Twitter
Yes.
and websites are just saying, "Wow, let's make the coolest thing a headline. Let's just spoil it." And I
Yeah.
am my anger is like it's around here, which is not that high, but it's fairly high. I wanted to experience that for myself, but they robbed me. Fidel, if you're watching, you robbed me too. You robbed us all. Fidel, I'm
Fidel.
furious. Fidel.
There was like 5 or 6 tweets in a row, all Fidel talking about this, and I was like, "Come on, it just came out. I haven't even seen it
Seriously.
yet."
Chat's saying it's a good movie though, and I'm sure it is. It looks good. It looks like even if it's bad, it'll be fun. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it seems like the reactions to it thus far have been pretty positive.
Mm.
Uh, movie looks really satirical in a way that I really like. Uh, and I just love that it's seemingly like both a love letter and just a big middle finger to the animation industry.
Uh-huh.
Seriously.
So there's probably some good commentary in there. So I look forward to checking it out.
Yeah, I assume you haven't watched it either, Daniel, or at least not yet.
Not yet.
Our time will come.
I plan to see just how bad it is, or good. You know, it might be
Maybe a
just
masterpiece.
who
We could
who
be
knows.
saying this is movie of the year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that movie, but I do wish people would be a little bit more mindful about what we're seeing on there. And is my audio just not working with us right now? By the way,
You're coming in and out a little bit. I can still work out what you're saying,
I
but
see. Man, I wonder if I just remove my camera, if that would let my computer make this work.
well, while
Um,
Daniel figures this out, let me just read out a few donations that we've got.
yeah.
So Jaden Buck gave us $10 and says, "Crazy question Friday. Crazy question number 39. If the whole world was battling for the most powerful energy source and you were secretly in possession of it, would you hide it? Brandon, would you hide it?
Would I hide the
The
most
most
powerful energy
valuable energy
source?
source."
If people were fighting over it, I would see reason in hiding it. But if it's a powerful energy source that's going to be good for humanity, I think my one goal would be to give it to the world in a way that doesn't end in annihilation.
Is that possible though? Like, will people just peacefully take peace, or people
Oh,
just battle for peace,
I
regardless of if
I
it's
see that they're
necessary?
I see that they're asking where would we hide it?
Oh, where?
oh
Oh, okay.
where
Where would we hide it? Yeah, you're
I
right.
would obviously hide it in the sacred realm behind the door of time in the temple of time in Hyrule Castle Town. That's where I'd put it.
And a kid accesses it, and then in comes a man who goes and takes it for himself.
I thought it was I thought it was break-in proof, but I guess I was wrong.
We've also got a
Just like
$2 donation from Scarlet Dragon, who says Sonic EXE versus Hero Brian. I'm not sure what Hero Brian is.
Isn't Hero Brian the spooky, like, always follows you around, like, Minecraft myth thing?
yeah,
Maybe
there's two like creepypastas going against each other here. Um,
Sonic
I would
always
probably
gets my
say
vote.
I'd probably say Sonic EXE. That thing actually made me not sleep for a little while when I first saw it.
Yeah, I
Always
think I'm in
touching
agreement
Sonic.
there. Is the Tails doll in that? It is, right?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
so. It's
I
like
think it's
I
part
know
of
the
it.
bloody-eyed Sonic is for sure.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah,
like, Tails doll is, like, nightmare fuel for me, so
that is actually legitimately scary as well. Like just just that face.
so
Yeah.
Sonic.exe for me as well.
All right, we'll get back on topic in a little bit. Just one more donation though, which is $50 from Aramis Baramus. I'm sorry if I said that completely
Yeah,
wrong.
you're good.
But hello, GVG crew. Can't watch live, unfortunately, but still popping in to show my support. Happy for those across the pond, though. Glad the show isn't happening in the dead of night for them. And again, love you all and good vibes. And yeah, this is a really good time for us in particular, because well, we all live not in the Pacific time zone, so it's nice to embrace the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's nice to not, see the sun going down during the show.
Yeah.
from my
Yeah,
perspective.
And I've not really been on an episode before, and the main reason for that is because we air at midnight, and then by the time we finish, it'll be like 2 a.m. for me. And with a kid, like that can't happen. No way.
yeah. The only episode we had John on was our premiere episode, and we haven't had you on since then. And it's just good to have you back again.
Yeah. We also do have a few more donations, which I guess we can quickly go through, and then we'll get back to the show. But $5 by GKid64 says, "Hey GVG crew, I've been a fan since GX in 2016. I live in Australia. It's almost 5 a.m. for me. It's also election day. P.S. Chippendale is great."
Well, thank you.
Well,
Yes,
thank
thank you so
you.
much.
Were we
I
all?
didn't. Yeah, I guess it isn't like a global convenient hour, but what hour is convenient for everybody if it's 5 a.m. in Australia? Game and Watcher 96 give us $10, saying, "Speaking of Fire Emblem, and since you three are the only ones in the team I know who were actually played Rivals of Ether, who would win in a fight, Lucina or is that Claren?"
Claren.
Clarion. I mean, by default, I'm a pick Lucina because she is one of my favorite characters in Fire Emblem. I will always root for her. I will always be upset that she doesn't have an original moveset in Smash Brothers. But I
Sure.
mean, we can imagine a game where she does have an original one, like Fire Emblem Warriors has potential to implement that to a fighting game as well.
That's good reasoning. I
This
can't
is
argue
a
with that.
this is a tough one. Like Claren's got a little bit more in terms of like future tech. Uh, that's hard to say. I feel like Claren would have an edge just because of time,
Mhm.
not because of skill. Because if we're talking about skill, like Lucina is literally a time traveling sword fighter, so I think she's got it figured out.
Daniel, you have frozen. You look very happy in your frozen state, though. And I don't really want to wake you from it because you look so content.
I
But we
have
do have a $2 donation from Dr. Wolfstar, who says, "Would you guys use the Death Note if you had it?" Yeah. Yeah, I would.
On who?
wait, hold on.
I can't specify.
That was such an instant answer that I'm a little concerned.
John Cart. Excuse me.
There
It's
are
might
some
John
be
people.
right.
Cart, not John Cartwright.
There are some people that maybe you could imagine using it on, but I think yeah, I don't know. That's a risky because if you use it, doesn't your lifespan like get cut in half?
Oh, I
Is
didn't
that
know
a
about
Or no,
that.
oh no. Oh hey, that's if you use the if you use the ability to see people's names above their head, then your life is
Oh,
is cut in half.
that's right. That's the twist.
But
Yeah.
okay, if you just use the Death Note when you die, you go to neither heaven nor hell. You just kind of go to this void of nothing, I think, when you die.
Yeah.
I'd probably not use the Death Note because it's scary.
What about the thrill? The thrill of the ride, Brandon.
There's no thrill when there's fear.
But yeah, I think I turn off my camera because I think maybe that'll help ease the load and maybe my audio will be a little bit better this way.
It did seemingly fix it.
Oh, is it? Am I okay now? Well, I guess I'm just gonna be a statue for this episode. So sorry, everybody. My
If
computer's
you erase
struggling.
someone's name in the Death Note, do they come back?
What if you only erase like half of their name? Like, what
It's just
happens
half the
then?
Do I have to use a number 2 pencil if I want to erase? Does it matter what kind of penmanship I use, or I don't know? What if I? It's a lot of questions.
They put the Death Note through the Scantron machine. That's how you get your state tests done.
What if I put someone's name in Braille? Will that count?
It's got to count. I mean, the Death Note doesn't discriminate. It can it can read different kinds of languages and different kinds of ways of
Oh, yeah,
reading text.
put my name in Spanish and then
Invisible
I'll...
ink.
Oh, I don't. Can the Death
Oh.
Note read invisible ink?
Because I feel like if you could use invisible ink, like if you revealed it later, you could just have their name written in there. And then
Yeah.
you just have like a black light or whatever with you, and you're like, I have your name written down. If you don't give me what I want, all I have to do is turn on this light, and
Man,
you're dead.
Camille Camille in the chat brought up a really good point that I never thought about before. They said, "What about people with the same name?" Like, yeah, there's so many John Cartwrights in the world. I know that there's a chef John Cartwright, and there's John Cartwright in some show.
There's probably some anime rule like, oh, you have to picture their face in your mind when you write their name down or something,
Probably.
so they don't
Yeah.
like discriminate from someone who's just like completely unrelated, who just like dies in the in the highway and just kills like more people.
According to chat, that seems to indeed be how it works.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If it
I
were
haven't
my
watched an
world,
anime.
I would say you'd have to draw their face yourself. So your ability to use the Death Note is directly proportional to how well you can draw.
Wow,
I've got an
we've been on.
idea because I feel like we need to warm up. You know, you can't just jump into an event without warming up. You've got to warm up. So I've got a game in mind. What we're going to do for this game, right? We've all played the Xenoblade series, right? All of us.
I
Yeah.
played all of 2,
Okay,
just that one.
that's fine. So what I've got, what's in my mind is we're going to go around in a circle, and each of us have to say a field quote or a battle quote. It can be any kind, just not a dialogue quote. It has to be a field quote or a battle quote.
Uh-oh.
And you've got to just go in a circle and keep saying one. And if you hesitate, you're out.
Oh
But
no, I might not
but
survive.
here's the twist. Here's the twist. You can make up one, and as long as you're confident, then you can just keep going around. But if someone feels like it's fake, they can say, wait a second. And if it was true and the person accusing you was wrong, they're out. Are
Okay.
we confident with these rules?
I'm gonna try my best.
So you can
Okay.
BS your way through if you want, as long as you're confident. I think Daniel's got a advantage here because we can't see his expressions. We don't know if he's lying. But
All right.
our format right now is Daniel, me, Brandon. So I guess Daniel, can you kick us off with a field quote
Okay. Let me.
or a battle quote?
I need a. Okay. Let me get in the headset. I don't want to like lose on the first turn. God, what does he say? Okay, time to take you down.
Flora heals an aching soul.
What a bunch of jokers.
No, we've lost the upper hand.
Aren't we intrepid?
It's drawing time.
Easy peasy.
Thanks, puppy.
Beautiful.
They don't stand a chance against us.
I'm really feeling it.
Damn it, that was my next one.
Oh.
Are we running out?
Let me look at the chat really quick.
You can't look at the chat.
Chat, what do you think you're doing?
Okay, I'm out.
Oh, it's just me and Daniel then.
Think you can take me?
What's inside this box? Is it treats or socks?
I could have done that blindfolded.
Water, the source of all life.
I don't know what to do, man.
Wind is our friend and ally.
Healing Halo.
Make haste and retrieve it.
Oh,
Thanks for the support.
Now. Damn it.
I can't think of anything. Daniel, you win. By the way, wind is our friend and ally. That was made up.
Oh, was that what it said? I was wondering.
So when I said beautiful, I didn't know if that was a quote. I just went for it.
That could have been like any game ever in the JRPG.
Beautiful.
just gotta add an accent. It's like, oh, Xenoblade.
But do you feel warmed up now? Do you all feel warm and cozy?
I'm all loosened up.
I'm ready to go. I mean, yeah, I'm ready.
All right. What video games have you guys been playing this week? I'll kick this off, actually, because I've been playing a few video games. Since Embracer acquired the Western studios from Square, like Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, I've been going into some of the older Tomb Raider games. So I booted up Tomb Raider Anniversary on 360, and I didn't realize how much bloom was in that game. Like, it's a very early 360 era game, and it's the brightest tomb you've ever seen in your life. Like, you enter the tomb, and it's meant to be all dark and dingy, but instead there's this giant ray that makes everything all bright and weird looking. And I figured out apparently the reason it does that is because instead of like making it from the ground up for 360, it's a PS2 game, and they just sort of put in a bunch of effects, and so the Wii and PS2 version looks better. So I've gone back and played it on the Wii instead, and it's pretty good. I'm liking it.
Nice. The only
Yeah.
oddly enough, the only experience with Tomb Raider I have is the reboot games. And even then only what the first two? Is that Rise of the Tomb Raider or Shadow? I don't remember.
Yeah, Rise is the second, then
Rise.
Shadow's the third.
Yeah, I just played those two. I never played Shadow because I heard reception to that one wasn't quite as good as the first
Mhm.
two. So yeah, have you played any of these before, Daniel?
Tomb Raider is a series that I haven't really acquainted myself with. I've always appreciated what they've been doing with the series to bring it back and have it be more in the public space again. But I haven't really gotten to play those games at all yet, honestly. It's just on my long list of games in the backlog, honestly.
I got really into Tomb Raider because my friend's mum loved it. She was really into the original ones, and she had like the PC versions. And I remember she got a flight stick for some reason, a flight stick controller. She was really excited for Angel of Darkness, so she got the PC version of Angel of Darkness and bought a flight stick controller to play it with for some reason. And back then, I was like, "Yeah, all right, that's normal." But now I think back on it, I'm
Weird.
like, "Women, what were you doing?"
I
But yeah, she
Wow.
enjoyed it.
I want to see what the setup for that would have looked like. Like, did it actually control well? I have a lot of questions.
I mean, she played it, so it must have been adequate.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like the Tomb Raider games. I'm pretty excited that Embracer are seemingly going to be remastering and re-releasing all of that older catalog. So I've wanted that for years. Square have had these IPs for over a decade, and they've not done any re-releases. I just want like classic Tomb Raider on Switch. That's all I want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd love
I
the
think
opportunity to go back and play those.
yeah, that'll be my chance to get into it, just to go back and with that, if that comes to pass. But yeah, that'd be a great way for me to introduce myself to these, because I've been trying to get into more series as I've been on this show more often, just so I have more of a breadth of knowledge to talk about things like
Mm.
this topic. But yeah,
I've also been playing Switch Sports quite a bit more, and I know there's a lot of hate for this game, and I want to call out every hater and say that
Thank
you're
you,
wrong.
John. Thank you. This game's awesome.
It is. It's really good. I feel like it is incredibly well polished. And I understand some of the criticisms saying like there aren't as many sports as Wii Sports Resort. And that's true, there aren't. There absolutely aren't. But I think the replayability factor is stronger than ever. Like it's so fun just to go online and just keep playing. Like when I first started playing, I was trying to get to A rank on tennis. And just doing that alone took around 15 hours just for one sport. And I feel like I barely dipped my toe in things like badminton or just like, a couple of other ones, but like, football, for instance. Whereas, yes, a lot of my playtime has just been going into one of these and thinking about how much replay value comes from just a single sport. And there's like 6 of them with golf on the way. You can get a ton. There's a ton of value in here.
There's potentially like 3 full courses we could get out of golf too. Because like if they did the same thing that they did with Wii Sports and Sports Resort, we'll get the Wii Sports, golf course, which is NES golf. Then the
Yeah.
one that they added for Wii Sports Resort, and then plus whatever new one they make for this game. Um, I know that's asking a lot, but they did it before, so I could only hope they do it again.
Mm.
Um,
I do feel like there's something missing. Like we've got all these court-based games, like we've got tennis, we've got badminton, we've got volleyball, and I'm not saying they're identical sports. That would be ridiculous, but they do have like a similar kind of court feeling, and some of that variety from the original, like boxing and baseball, that's not quite here. But hopefully, it comes, in the future. But I'm still enjoying what's here now, though.
I'm really specifically hoping for basketball from Wii Sports Resort and archery because I think those are two of the best sports introduced in that game. We already have Chambara, so we don't have to worry about getting that.
I'm interested on your basketball take because I've always sort of seen basketball in Sports Resort as like it's good for me. Like I think it's cool to flick your wrist and just kind of throw it, but I never really got that into it. And
I
I
think
can't.
I think it's because like between me and my friends, like uh we didn't play the 3-point mode, the one that was like, half court basketball. We did
Yeah,
the one where you do as many free throws as you can. We just had a lot of fun competing we would like I'd literally play that for hours, just seeing who can get the best score because we were constantly
Cool.
improving. And yeah, it was just really fun for us. So I think part of it's probably just missing that experience and
Mhm.
wanting that back. But I think with the Switch, there's more possibilities now. Like you look at soccer in this game, and
Oh,
you have
yeah.
full control of your character. I think if they did that with basketball, we could have a really cool experience this time.
Yeah, that could be awesome. And I feel like too, Wii Sports Resort has its highs. There's lots of good games in there, but there's also a bunch of middling ones. And I'm not sure that's true with this one. I think Switch Sports is pretty much all highs, whereas stuff
Yeah,
like you've got like the surfing ones, the frisbee one, like they're all fine, but they're nothing that you really linger on.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Danny,
they're
have you
kind
been
of
playing Switch Sports?
they're kind of the sports that you would go in, play once, maybe twice, and then just stick to
Yeah.
your favorites for the rest of the game.
yeah, it's so interesting to get to see how some people can really get a lot more mileage out of certain games like basketball. Like I don't really see many people saying that they've invested that much time to it. Like they'll play it and be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool,"
Mhm.
but they all go back to other games in that collection like archery
Apart from Brandon,
or
who
genre.
is
Yeah,
is a big basketball guy, apparently.
That's me.
all about sports ball. Now we know. Yeah, yeah. But being able to play certain things with the added motion, like being able to just actually move around a bit and do maybe things with that implemented as well with motion control, like basketball, that would be really interesting to see how they can make that work. Or even with like archery, even move around on a field with moving targets or something that you can
Oh,
more actively apply yourself to.
Like
There's
Link's
a lot of
crossbow
room.
training.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for that sort of like Link's crossbow training. The sequel will finally return. Link as an optional skin to unlock. Yeah. Um, but man, I just want to see boxing come back again.
that'd be cool.
Um, I my dad spent so much time with boxing. He would like work up a sweat trying to beat the game and trying to like beat Matt, who was a legend
Hmm.
in that game.
Whenever you knock
Um,
someone down, do you guys put your Wii Remote and nunchuck over your head so that your character just kind of goes like, "Ugh,"
Oh
uh,
yeah,
as
every
they beat him?
time.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Like, yeah. Oh, you can't see me doing it, but like I am I am the one who did that.
I think that is a like global instinctual response.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
I personally I've been finding soccer to be really fun. Soccer was actually the sport going into the game that I was not expecting to really have that much fun with because it just
Totally.
kind of looked slow and
Mhm.
kind of uncouth. It looked like bad Rocket League, which I know is really ironic to say, but you
I
know,
mean, Nintendo have already done Bad Rocket League with Blast Ball, so this is
oh
the
yeah,
second
don't
attempt.
remind me.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like Rocket League, but with people. Isn't that insane?
But I my one of my roommates, Joe, and we went online, 2 players, and went into soccer, and we found ourselves really enjoying that mode. Just like strategizing, calling out plays. One of us would be goalie, and just working it out instead of aimlessly chasing the ball like half the people online do.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Just surprisingly so. So good on
Also,
you,
there's a
Nintendo.
pass button. Don't ignore the pass button because
Yes.
if you hold it down, it goes
Yeah.
directly to them. And I try and use it as much as I can. My teammates do not understand that there is a pass button.
There's a
Don't ignore
button
it.
to tell people to pass to you too. Like there's a the communication features are in there to make that sport really shine. So for now, that's actually my favorite game in the collection. Uh,
Yeah.
Awesome.
which is not what I expected going in.
Very nice.
What about you, Daniel? Anything that you've been playing other than Switch Sports?
Well, the thing I played just the other day with Brandon was the alpha codes we got
Oh
for MultiVersus.
yeah.
We had a good time playing that on our stream, Good Vibes Arcade, that you all can check out on our Twitch channel. The VOD's still there for another couple of weeks. We had a good time.
Imagine the URL right here.
Just imagine it's like sitting there. We'll show it somewhere. But yeah, like I don't know what everyone's first impressions was going to be going into this game, but I think we were both pleasantly surprised as far as what we were experiencing in like as far as the mechanics go, what they are implementing, just the quality of customization, the animations and all that. A lot of it just felt a lot more whole and complete than certain other Smash clones that
Unspecified, licensed
unspecified. Not to
franchise
throw shade,
crossover.
not to throw shade at anybody that doesn't want to be compared in that sort of way. But yeah, I felt myself finding this to be a lot more of a complete experience and something that I think me and Brandon will go back into more like through this alpha build and also when the game comes out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I could not believe like how much fun I ended up having. Um, the thing about multiverses that really strikes me is just how much it hones in on the co-op experience.
Hmm.
Like they want you to play 2v2 because like so many abilities in your move set for most of the characters, they like add buffs to your partner. Like Shaggy can go Super Saiyan, which is just cool. He can also spawn a sandwich and throw it. But we found out that if you're playing co-op or 2v2, when he goes Super Saiyan, it gives the Super Saiyan buff to your partner too.
Oh, damn.
And if you throw the sandwich at your partner, it heals them. So there's just a lot of these little micro mechanics built into each character that make pairing them up feel unique based on, you know, the combinations that you do. Uh, it just this is an approach to a platform fighter that I haven't seen before, and it's really refreshing. And it's really polished. So if you got into the alpha and aren't playing it, you should really try it out. They're doing some cool stuff here.
I've not tried it myself yet, but I've seen Twitter just filled with really cool interactions. And one thing that I think's awesome is there's this one thing where if Velma is crawling, it makes the screen go blurry temporarily,
Yep.
like, as if she's lost her glasses. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
her
And like,
yeah, her crawling animation is literally her trying to shuffle around and grab her glasses that are falling on the floor, and yeah,
it's
the
awesome.
blur is
Yeah.
little things that they added that remind me of that old Sakurai polish that they didn't need to add, but it's there and they feel more of a complete character because of it. Like there's the characterization of all these characters that are there is really like on point.
Yeah. I don't
Not
want to dunk on the
only
unspecified other one, but I think Nick Brawl was okay. And I think if you were a kid who was like a big fan of some of those franchises, like SpongeBob, I think you'd have a good time with it. I mean, I had a decent time with it, but it didn't really have that level of polish. It didn't feel like the characters were really there in a cohesive world. It didn't really feel like it was really pulling from their source material much, and more it was like, hey, let's make a Smash game with them. Whereas this seems to properly be embracing, all the IP.
you'll like say like you pick Shaggy and you end up fighting in the Batcave. He will, as soon as the fight starts, he'll comment about how he's in the Batcave. Or he'll
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, maybe
That's cool.
Batman will let me drive the Batmobile." Um, and they'll also talk to their partners at the beginning. Like the level of interactions available are like crazy, like more than you'd experience in a game like Smash Brothers. Uh, Even the alternate costumes have their own voice lines and own character interactions.
Mhm.
Man,
So like
that's like Puyo Puyo level.
Shaggy has a alt costume that makes him his rich uncle, and he'll talk with like a British accent, talk about how much money he has. But then the other characters, when talking back to him, will talk about how much money he has. Like it's really neat.
Yeah,
There's
like
so
So
much
good.
interaction there.
yeah, that Vilma will actually indicate like, "Oh, it's Uncle Shaggington, whatever whatever his name is." And it's like, "What in the
Say
world?
that again.
Is that what is Uncle Shaggington? Was that his
I
name?
think it's
Fun.
Shagsworth.
Shagsworth? You know what? It could be any one of them. Uncle Money Shags says spicy. That it's all part of the universe now. Like the fact that all these alternate costumes, well, that there's not very many alternate costumes because I think all the colors are indicated by what team you're on. But for the ones that do change their outfit, like that level of detail to give their alternate skins more voice, it just speaks to how much care is being put into this game. And yeah, this is something that Smash can't give you because that the whole everyone on this roster, they have a move that works both in 1v1 but also in a two-player co-op aspect like Brandon was saying. So like Wonder Woman's whip, when you use the whip, it'll either grab an enemy and pull them to you so you can follow it up, or grab your ally and pull them to you with a defense buff, and also like just from safety. Just to have one example. There's so many examples in this that we could go on over and over about, but yeah, just that interaction in that leaning into that 2v2 as we saw with that initial trailer is something that I think is pretty smart of it to do, because it's something that as we mentioned, something we don't see in these kind of 2D brawlers so far.
Yeah, I'm really excited to try this now. Like, this was on my radar already. I think when it was revealed, I was like, "Oh, it's another crossover fighter. That these are getting kind of tiresome now." But I think, yeah, this really does seem like it's doing something different. Which is, I think that's the direction to take. Like, don't just try and be Smash, but try and be your own
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing about it. Like you said, it's just the fact that it's not just trying to be Smash. I think seeing this at Evo exclusively in a co-op format is really going to show off what this game is about, and I'm excited for people to really start understanding that, because that's not something that I got just from looking at it, but playing it and experiencing it over the couple hours that Daniel and I had, we really started to realize how much depth there actually is.
Yeah.
I think this game can go far.
Anything else before we move on that you guys been playing this week?
I have, so many of you know that I wanted to try and get Dragon Quest IX multiplayer working
Oh yeah.
on
Mhm.
online for stream, and unfortunately, that just isn't possible, given the current state of uh, technology.
Mm.
So my wife and I have been playing it locally together,
Oh.
and it's super fun. I've never really played this game multiplayer. I got it when it first came out and played it as a solo game. It was my first Dragon Quest. Don't recommend doing that. It's not a good time. But playing it with another person, it's just like a really smooth experience. Like, she enters my world, and then we do my story, and she's just part of all the story events. She gets to experience the whole game, but we get to do it together, and that's really neat.
Oh,
It's
that's
basic.
awesome.
It's basically like a precursor what they did with Dragon Quest X. Um, Remake this game, please. Put it on
Please.
Switch. Uh, I would really love to play this with all of you.
We need a Patreon goal where I can fly out to your house and we can just play Dragon Quest together.
All the way through 9.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
All of them. Every single one.
We do have a few other super chats in there. There's a $5 donation from Vedran. There's a few to get through, and we've got a sponsor to read through, so I'll just read out their names for now. Claxon gave us a $5 donation, and we also have a £5 donation from Alan Wilkinson. So thank you so much for those. But this episode of GVGcast is sponsored by the Game Orb. The Game Orb is a YouTube channel that brings commentary and gameplay footage from Nintendo Switch and Xbox Series X game systems. With games like Splatoon 2, Sonic Colors Ultimate, and Mario 64, they can be seen on the channel alongside others. The Game Orb will also be adding Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu to the gaming collection. Be sure to subscribe to the Game Orb at the link in the description below. Okay,
Yeah.
so stuff has happened this week in terms of news.
Ooh.
And I think we can discuss a few of them. So the PlayStation Plus Premium Pack, we've known about for a while, and it launches in 3 days' time in Asian markets. But recently, they have given a little bit of a peek behind the curtain in what we're going to be getting. And I'm sure you guys already looked at it, but there is a link in our little doc over here if you want to look at all the stuff. But basically, what they're going to be doing, well, they've at least highlighted a few launch titles, and they've given us, let's just count them real quick. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's around 10 PlayStation 1 games that they've specified are launching on day one PSP game, and then there's also a selection of PS2 games, but they are the PS4 versions. So if you remember those, they did a PS4, PS2 classics line last generation, where they gave us like Ape Escape 2 and Jack and all that. And they're based, instead of giving like new PS2 emulations, they're giving the old PS4 versions. So
Mhm.
what are your impressions on what they've shown so far for PlayStation Plus Premium? Are you happy, or are you a little bit like, I thought there'd be more than this?
I'm not so
I
sure. I didn't really play a lot of PlayStation's offerings in those first couple generations. I didn't really hop on the train until PS4, to be honest with you. So it's a little harder for me to gauge as someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with a lot of these. Um, that said, just having them at all does make me interested. I don't know if that counts for something.
Mhm.
I just don't know if it makes me interested enough at that price point.
Yeah, Moon in our live audience said, aren't the PS4, PS2 games bad?" And, yeah, they're not great. Like, Ape Escape 2 has a lot of texture issues, Jack has a lot of texture issues, and, like, a lot of time things would just flicker. It's not great emulation, that's true.
No.
Maybe they'll address it for this, I don't quite know. But, some of the launch titles, for those who haven't looked at it yet, for PlayStation, we've got Ape Escape, Hot Shots Golf, which is everybody's golf everywhere else in the world, Jumping Flash, Siphon Filter, and IQ Intelligent Cube. We've also got things like Mr. Driller, Tekken 2, Worms World Party, and Worms Armageddon. And those are all the PlayStation 1 games we know about for now. Does that excite you?
I
Hmm.
mean, I don't know, man.
I guess
I mean,
because like there's so much.
Ape Escape's cool.
Yeah, I'm so
I've
glad.
never played it though.
Well, now you can because you should. But I'm glad Ape Escape is on there. And certain random games like Mr. Driller, I'm happy that's on there. I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone else has played Mr. Driller before. Amazing soundtrack. But it just feels like there was room for more. And I don't know. Like the price of it is kind of asking a lot for legacy games that I feel like we could have had many more of, or like a wider diversity of. Because all of these games, like in some capacity, have been have they've had like their own HD collection of some sort within Sony's offerings, and it's like, well, what about all the niche games that I that I have on my PS2 library that I won't be able to play with this service that I was kind of hoping I'd be able to see.
Mhm.
I guess a lot of them are just kind of expected. Maybe I don't know if that's the right word for it, but what do you think?
I expect more.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
one thing that kind of stings is PS3 games are streamed. We've known about that for a while. I'm sure it's because PS3 is kind of hard to emulate, even
Yeah.
though people are doing
hmm
it. People are emulating PS3. So I don't think it's impossible. But one thing that does sting is some HD remasters of PS2 games are only available on PS3 right now in their selection. So Eco, a like a pillar stone of the PS2, is part of the Eco HD Shadow of the Colossus collection from PS3. And I don't know why they wouldn't just offer both.
That's starting to seem a little corner cutty to me, like in a bad way. Uh like you said, I understand the whole PS3, streaming dealio, that makes sense, but why not offer the games on their original platforms when they're already being offered in this service? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Mhm. On the positive side, though, Ben Studio, who did like Days Gone and Bubsy 3D, they have confirmed that trophies are going to be in these. So when you play some of these PS1 games, there will be trophies for the very first time. Is that more exciting?
It's never been
well,
something I've personally cared that much about. But for the people that do, that is a nice bonus. And I'm willing to give them some credit there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, trophies are something that I don't. I guess it kind of lets you know more or less in quotation marks if you've done everything in the game that there's if you've experienced everything that there is to experience. And there's people who really value that. There's people who are really like big completionists and they want to see that platinum trophy go off. And then it's really exciting. Like I've had that happen too, where I told myself I want to platinum this game because I really enjoy it and I want to be able to say that I've done everything there. And there's a little marker for that. But most games, it's just like I just want to reach the credits, maybe do a little bit of the post game, and then move on to the next one. But for those that are really fans of it, that's really cool though to have that implemented.
I get the impression from this whole service that the legacy stuff is seen as like a bonus to them. Because if you look at everything else, I think it's a pretty good service. Like if you look at their PS4 selection, you get things like you basically get their entire first party library. Like Everybody's Golf is on there, Gravity Rush is on there, The Last Guardian's on there. Pretty much everything they put out is on there, and also a bunch of third party stuff. And if you were to just subscribe for those, I think you'd get like you have a pretty good time with that. But just personally, as someone who's lived through that generation already, and I've played the highlights, I feel like that doesn't do much for me. I just want to
Mhm.
play PS1 games on my PS5, and for £100 a year, $120 a year, however much it is, that is a huge ask. And with the current library, I don't think it's living up to that ask. But hopefully, it does improve over time. Also, one reason that you can't play PS1 discs on your PS5 is because PS5 and PS4 can't read CDs. So it's not like PS3 we can just put in a disc. Is physically incapable of reading that PS1 disc, which
Right.
that sucks.
Yeah.
But on a positive side, though, if you bought a PS1 game during the PS3 or PS Vita era on the PlayStation Store, you don't have to subscribe. You can just play those games you've purchased,
Really?
Oh.
provided they're on the service. So, like,
Oh.
Wow.
if you bought Metal Gear
Always a
Solid in
caveat.
the past, you won't be able to play that on day one because Metal Gear Solid is not on the service yet. But if you
But this
did
is
buy it in,
something that they're gonna build, right?
yeah, hopefully,
So eventually you might get to do that,
yeah.
which is not too unsimilar to what happened with Xbox and their backwards compatibility, kind of path over time. So what, that changes my tune a little bit. But it's still kind of a small start. But if it is going to build up, maybe I'll subscribe later.
Mhm.
Yeah, I kind
Yeah, I
of
mean,
want to wait, see it pan out first, see if I want to make a decision to make that jump. But yeah,
it's not quite what I wanted. I think I just wanted to have something like Xbox, where you can just have this continuous collection that just sort of sticks with you forever. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard from several people in like the Nintendo scene that like Virtual Console didn't make much sense for Nintendo. Like people would buy Mario and Zelda and Pokemon, and if you look at the charts, you can see the proof of that. Like look at the 3DS charts. It's Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Silver, then Mario Land, and that's kind of it. A lot of the other stuff gets lost because people just don't like. Most people aren't as interested in those, and so
Yeah.
companies will want subscriptions for that stuff, which sucks for us. Makes sense for them. And I think that's just what PlayStation's interested in. Whereas it's cool that on Xbox you can just like play pretty much anything. It doesn't matter if it's a disc that you bought like 20 years ago. Like it's gonna work.
I'd like to see Nintendo and PlayStation kind of head that direction. I think we are headed that direction with Nintendo at the very least. Like I feel like Switch will be that first console where those games just kind of go forward
Mhm.
because I personally believe that their next system will just be some Switch iteration. And Sony can make a lot of brain dead decisions sometimes, but I feel like it's in their best interest to start doing this now. Like I will give them a pass if they start doing this now. Like
Yeah.
there's no foresight, like 20, 30 years ago when gaming was just getting off the ground. Like that I can understand, but you know, this is where we're at now. So you need to start getting with the program.
Brandon, you've disappeared on our feed for some reason. I can still see you, but in the GVGcast layout, you have become
I
a
have
red void.
Oh, did I?
I've attempted to make our promote a pet work, and unfortunately, we all got shuffled around just a little bit.
We had to
And
sacrifice Brandon for the pets.
I'm trying
It
to
Oh.
was
find
worth it.
where Brandon went. Calm down, everybody. It's
Can you still
fine.
hear me though?
I can still hear you. Yeah,
Okay, good. As long as I can be heard, that's fine.
it's just a lot happening all at once, unfortunately.
No
This is good
worries.
so far. We got Frozen Daniel and an invisible Brandon.
This is the
At least our
non-GBG cast.
at least our host is just in the middle and just hanging out.
Well, while
Um,
we are trying to figure this stuff out, we do have some donations. So we have £1.79 from Rico's Edge, who says, "Hi, what are your favorite Marvel films?" Daniel, what's your favorite Marvel film?
my
Film?
favorite Marvel film. One of my favorite Marvel films. I mean, I know it's recently just came out, or the probably more recent ones like Spider-Man, No Way Home, and also
Uh,
Shang-Chi. I really love Shang-Chi.
that was
It
really
has
good.
some of the
Yeah,
most gorgeous, the most well thought out martial arts choreography I've ever seen in film, and
It's very good.
it's yeah. We got the me, you, and Ash got to watch that when we were over in visiting Seattle for PAX West. That was a really fun way to end that whole trip, and I mean that's part of the reason why I remember it fondly. But yeah, that's one of my favorite ones for sure.
that's awesome.
I,
Uh, Thor Ragnarok's a very like typical answer, but it is my favorite. I think it's just really, really fun.
yeah, that's a great movie. I love how much character it has. For me, uh, I think this is because this is the movie that really got me into the MCU. That's Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
that's just a bomb ass movie. I love the the kind of enemy of the state vibes that it gets with, Cap kind of being on the run from an organization that's supposed to be on his side. And then of course you have the stuff with Bucky Barnes, which for me, that being one of my first movies, like it didn't really mean anything to me, but to be there next to my wife, who had been watching these since the beginning, have the reaction to that
Mhm.
with the Winter Soldier was really awesome. And then I was like, okay, there's something here that I didn't know about. And then I started watching all the movies from then, and I was like, oh, I've been missing out for a few years, apparently.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
think the
it's
Captain America trilogy's the best of all of them. Like the Iron Man trilogy's fine. Uh, the Spider-Man trilogy's pretty good, but Captain America, I think, is just consistently great.
It's very solid. Yeah.
yeah, freaking Civil War disguised itself as an Avengers movie, and that was
Right.
Yeah.
incredible. I've only gone through these movies very recently with someone, just going from Iron Man all the way up to the end of Endgame, and yeah, it's been cool to kind of get that perspective. But yeah, Captain America always has a really solid lineup of movies as well.
Yeah. Well, Brandon's back. Hello, Brandon.
Hello,
Hi, I'm
Brandon.
here again.
Sorry
Let's
about that.
talk about a rumor. So, there is a rumor that's been circling around from multiple sources, but originated from Nate the Hate, and it is about Bloober Team. Are you guys familiar with Bloober Team? Oop.
I am not. I can't say that I
Not
am.
just by a name, but I might if you give me
So,
an explanation.
Bloober Team, they make Layers of Fear, but they also make The Medium, which is an
Okay.
Xbox. Well, it's on multiple platforms now, but it was originally Xbox exclusive, and it's the horror game with the split perspective. So sometimes you can see the real world, sometimes you can see a more twisted world at the same time. Is
hmm
that is that clicking anything in your minds?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. The Medium is pretty mid. I, I'm pretty big horror game fan. I played that day one, and it had some good ideas, but it didn't have good execution, and there was very poor representation of many like mental health portrayals. And I
Okay.
don't think it was very scary either, or very well written. But the rumor is that Konami has allowed them to remake Silent Hill 2.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, and Silent Hill 2, I think, is the pinnacle of the genre. It's a very special game, and to me, this is like giving the kid in class who gets like constant C's and being like, "Let's make a group project with him. He can be our key speaker." Like, I don't like the vibe from it at all. I think this is a very prestige game, and it feels like they're giving it to a cheaper team.
Yeah, that's kind of a tough pill to swallow. I'd like to think that being given a remake would make things easier in some ways. Obviously,
Mhm.
like recapturing the magic from an original game is a very, very like difficult and delicate thing to do. That's why like Final Fantasy VII remake for me sticks out so nicely because there was a lot of things in that game that did capture the magic of that first iteration.
yeah.
Um, but if they don't have the track record, it's just like, how are we supposed to feel about it, right?
Yeah, and Bloober Team were asked about this as well, and their wording's so funny. They don't deny it. They basically just say like, "We'll talk." Like, they're asked if they're doing Silent Hill 2, and they basically replied saying, "We'll talk about what we're working on soon," which to me just says like, "Yeah, we are." But there's also several other things that leaked from a PowerPoint slide, and it's stuff like reworked puzzles, new endings, and it's going to be timed exclusive to PlayStation, but also that there's multiple Silent Hill projects in development, including new mainline entries and side stories. So it sounds like Konami has plans for Silent Hill, and they may revolve around Bloober.
It's kind of weird
Huh,
to hear
interesting.
this, just knowing their the recent history with Konami. But if this is true, like I'm interested, I'm excited. Like I personally haven't played through any of the Silent Hill games just because I wasn't a PlayStation kid. I didn't really have access to those growing up. Outside of Shattered Memories on Wii, which I was very close to buying growing up. I wish I had. Um, but yeah, it'd be a good opportunity just for me to get to experience these. I love horror games, and this is a big gap in my horror game library.
hmm
Yeah.
And like Konami, they just had their most successful year ever. they
Wha-
They are
From
more profitable right now than they've ever been in the company's history.
That is crazy.
because of their gambling machines, or
Not entirely. A big part of it, I think, actually, the majority of it is from gaming. So in Japan, they've actually been doing quite a bit. They've got their board game series about trains, which I forget the name of it, but it's sold like 4 million in Japan alone, and it's not been localized. And it's one of the best-selling Switch games in Japan, and it's
really?
done by
Okay.
Konami. They've also got like Tokimeki Memorial, which is they've had a new entry last year, I believe. They've also got their collections like Castlevania and Contra and TMNT that's coming up. So they are doing stuff. Just a lot of it we're not seeing in the West. I guess Silent Hill as well.
Hey, well, I mean, that's very surprising to me, but if they're doing well and they want to put this money that they're gaining into actual game projects, like, good for them. Like, this is this is what we've wanted for a while.
Yeah, I'm all
Yeah.
for it.
Monkey Ball in our live audience says Yu-Gi-Oh as well. And yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh is a huge revenue
that's
pot for
Yeah,
sure.
That's true. I didn't think
still
about that.
massive.
They
Yeah.
just had the release with Master Duel, which is free to play, microtransactions. Those games always pump in the cash for these companies.
Mhm.
So having a game like that as the backbone to work on projects like these, probably helpful.
Yeah, it's not been a huge news week, but Saudi Arabia have bought 5% of
no.
Nintendo.
Why?
And Nintendo's a public company, so anyone can buy shares. They have no control of that. But do you have a reaction to that?
Why?
Why?
This isn't the first time either. They also have shares in Capcom. They have shares in Square Enix, and this isn't the Saudi Arabia government primarily, but the Prince of Saudi Arabia does own 96% of SNK, the majority share.
Oh,
I remember that story from not too long ago.
is it
Right.
Yeah.
is it common for governments to
No.
invest in
No,
stocks?
this is
No.
very not common.
This is
Okay.
weird. No. What?
All right, I did think it was weird. I just need to make sure.
So 5% share doesn't mean much. It means basically if Nintendo profit, the Saudi Arabia government profits, but they don't
Right.
have control. They can't say, please make this entirely about Saudi Arabia. They can't do that.
Mhm.
There's nothing that they can change in the culture of Nintendo, but it is weird that they
Yeah.
own 5% of them now.
I mean, if you're gonna invest in a company, Nintendo probably wouldn't be the one I'd suggest. They've never had the greatest track record in the
They've,
market.
yeah, Nintendo's quite a roller coaster as far as their successes and their failures and their shortcomings. It's a weird one to invest in, honestly.
If you had bought in during the Wii era or Wii U era, you'd be doing pretty well right now. But I don't think there was much to gain from doing this.
Yeah. There's been a lot of fear as well that Saudi Arabia might increase their shares because to begin with, they had 33% in SNK, and then it jumped up to 96%. And from what I gather, SNK stock market works in Korea, whereas Nintendo are based in Japan, all their headquarters. And Japan have basically a law that any like foreign entity cannot buy more than 10% of a company. So if Saudi Arabia were to increase their share, it can't go above 10%. But I don't know how much control you have at 10%.
That's to prevent a takeover, right?
Basically, yeah. So it's very hard. Like Microsoft basically can't take over Nintendo.
Because you would need at least a 51%
51,
share.
'That's right.
51%,
Yeah.
and then you
Okay.
pretty much own the majority. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else we can really say about this one, but I think it's just freaking weird.
I just
Bizarre.
want to know what they want to do with it. Like,
Yeah, what do you want?
it couldn't have been to make a profit because you're not
They-
going to.
Someone that really likes Mario.
Yeah, news this week's been pretty slim, but we do have a little continuation from the whole Jim Ryan thing. So if you remember last week, there was an email that went out to PlayStation employees basically saying, don't pick sides when it comes to abortion and whatever else. And Insomniac have made a 60-page statement to Jim Ryan telling him to do better. Not only that, though, but Insomniac are also donating $50,000 to reproductive rights, and Sony have a system where they have to match it. So any charity donation that comes in from Sony, uh, they have to match it. So you can donate to whatever charity you want, and the company will double that. So I guess they're finding a way to make a statement out of Jim Ryan without directly doing it. But Sony have banned them from commenting on this, though, so they can't publicly say we have donated this, even though the story's out there already.
Huh.
So was this leaked information?
I think so. There is an interview with Price from Insomniac, so he might have said it, just like maybe offhand. But Insomniac as a company cannot say that they have donated 50K.
Well, good on them for doing this, for one thing. Bad on Sony for telling them they can't comment on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that just makes them look bad again.
indeed. But yeah,
I love seeing who was the previous president?
Sean Layden.
He's been like liking and tweeting about.
He liked one of my tweets.
Yeah, he's like liking tweets that are publicly like shaming Jim Ryan.
Yeah,
which I think is pretty raw.
I posted a tweet saying I miss when CEOs would stand on stage and talk about Vib Ribbon, and like a few minutes later, Sean Layden liked it.
That's awesome. I'm glad he's out here. Well, he's not doing a ton, but having that public facing is helpful.
Yeah. Our beautiful patrons are not only talking at the bottom of the screen right now, but they've asked us some questions. And I want to lead with Daniel. Daniel, what beautiful patron question did you choose this week?
Oh, well, let's see here. As I scroll here and try to find that, do we want to go through a couple more of our super chats?
Some of the super chats?
Yeah,
there's a few in here. Where did we end off last time? I think it was the Marvel one we read. So Javier Fuentes, I'm sorry if I butcher your names. I'm not Javier. Good. That's probably it. $4.99 donation. I feel like the PS5 is more than capable of PS3 emulation at this point. I want to play Sly Cooper without bringing out the PS3, goddammit. Yeah, I think they can do it too. It's probably just a question of, will they invest?
Is it cost effective?
Yeah. Denova gave us a $4.99 donation saying, I want to personally thank John for his Vib Ribbon tweets, as I did not know about it prior. Been loving it, but it's sad that it's not available beyond PS3. You know, I've got something near me. One sec. Bear with me.
Oh.
John has vanished.
John is on a mission.
I have in my hands Vib Ribbon.
Oh.
There it is. We also got a $1.99 donation from Hustlebun, who says, do you know why we stopped the car? Do either of you get that?
I have no idea what this is.
Hustlebun, you're throwing us for a loop here. Why did we stop the car? I don't know, are you guys hungry? Do we need to get something?
Are you mad, Mum? Mum, please don't be mad.
Please.
Eat.
Lethgaric gave us a $4.99 donation saying, what's everybody's most anticipated upcoming game for the rest of the year?
Ragnarok.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'm thinking. I'm not entirely sure I know. Probably Xenoblade at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, for me, it's Xenoblade for sure. Xeno, I don't know. That game with the with the Monado and the Shulk. And oh my gosh, I'm getting more excited for Three Hopes the more I see on it, because another trailer came out today, showing off the Black Eagles this time, and last week it was the Blue Lions, and I'm just curious of what they're gonna do with the story more and more, because we're definitely getting every single character from the three houses, probably from Cinder Shadows as well, the Ashen Wolves, and who knows who else, because they always throw in some weird ones. But yeah, as far as what we know is coming out this year, I mean, it would have been Breath of the Wild if that was going to happen, but it's not.
It would have been for me too, but
yeah, that would have been an easy one. But yeah, that's probably mine.
And we've also got $2 from Screamo Shaman, who says, check out silenthill.com. That's why I'm skeptical. I will. Let's check out silenthill.com. It leads to a tweet.
What?
All right.
Okay. I wish
he was first. All right.
All right, I'll be good for
Okay
your
then.
question now.
Oh yes. Okay. So now, moving on to our Patreon topics. Mine comes from. Oh gosh, did
We
I?
lost it. It's okay. We can find it. Do you want to read your question and I'll find out who asked it?
My question was, what are your favorite video game duologies? For example, Ori, Psychonauts, Sin and Punishment, Pokemon Black and White, or Bayonetta. I swear I saw that on here just a moment ago.
So
I
it was
think I.
from Dat Alpha Lion.
Oh, okay, that I found. Sorry about that. I think I cut and copied the wrong portion of it. But our favorite duologies. For me, the one that comes up to mind is one that recently became a duology, and that would be The World Ends With You, or otherwise known in
Oh.
Japan, It's a Wonderful World. I was fascinated with the first game when it came out. There was like nothing like that had ever been released when it came out on the DS. It's probably I call it the one game that really showcases every single kind of motion and action you can do with the touchscreen as well as with the microphone. So it really capitalized on every single possible like way you can use, like from tapping, the swiping, circling, drawing, dragging, like just every function possible. And it works so well with this system for, like, you have to like split your brain in half and work the top screen and the bottom screen together. And just the world, it was so stylish. The music is still some of my favorite soundtrack between both games, honestly. And just to have that sequel happen even this much later after the initial game came out was just such a happy thing for me to see again. Continuing the story from the original, it's really cool to see how both games kind of the story from the first game works in with the second, because they really let you feel like you don't need to know the first game to play the second. But the more you play the second game, the more you really see like that Neo is taking things from the first game that you really should know the original from. Even the additional content from Final Remix on the Switch. But yeah, just really a fan of those two games. And yeah,
I am a little
I
surprised you didn't say the Fire Emblem Radiant games.
I guess they kind of count, huh? Because I just count the whole Fire Emblem series as its own thing. But that duology of specifically the games that take place in Teleus, those are also really amazing. And I wouldn't want to go on for another 10 minutes talking about that. So, what are some of your favorite duologies? How about you, Brandon?
So John John put Monster Hunter Stories in my mouth before we started. But in the interest of not being predictable, I have made a deep cut. These two games came out actually fairly recently. They're both great. I'm talking about Tori 3D.
Ooh.
These great little 3D platformers take like an hour or two each to beat. They're like 99 cents on the eShop, but just really fun, really energetic games. Uh, so if you haven't played them, check them out because they're super cheap, like I said, and you'll get more enjoyment than what you paid for easily.
I've heard of those. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. There's like a surprising amount of depth in there for such a cheap game. Like you expect just something very, very minuscule, but there's a legit, brilliantly crafted 3D platformer in there.
Yeah. There's multiple characters to play as, and there's challenges that you can complete, such as collecting all of the coins on the stages, beating certain times. And there's a surprisingly wholesome little story there as well between the two. Might be a little creepy at times, so if you're not into the creepy, maybe this isn't for you, but it's good. Definitely try it
Yeah.
out.
You guys can call me out if this doesn't count, and I'll think of something else. But Sonic 3 and Knuckles is one of the best gaming duologies. Does that count?
I'll give you that.
I Oh, well, I guess. I mean, it was
I know it
supposed to
doesn't
be
think it
one
counts.
game. It was supposed to be one
Yeah.
game. But you know what? If it had to go so far as to introduce lock-on technology, we can go ahead and count it.
I know. I think of something else as well because I think Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are really interesting as well, especially because they are so intertwined together. Like Majora's Mask uses so many assets from Ocarina, and somehow it doesn't feel familiar. Like you see all these characters that you recognize, but the context they put them in feels entirely new. And I can't think of many other games that outright just reuse character models uh, and uh, and somehow make a cohesive feeling sequel, especially
The,
like a year's time.
those
It's just
characters
such
are
an original game.
those characters are so different despite
Yeah.
being literally the same models, like that it makes it feel more unfamiliar than if they had been different models
Yes.
altogether, which
Absolutely.
is a very cool thing.
It's such a
With Zeldas, like everyone has their own favorite, and I don't really disagree with any of them because it's just such a solid series that I feel I respect most answers. And with Majora and Ocarina, I'm always hearing so many points in favor of one and against the other. And to me, like they kind of complete each other. Like Ocarina is the more traditional, well-crafted dungeon affair, whereas Majora, like the dungeons don't really matter in Majora. Like there are dungeons, there's 4 of them, and they're fine. They're not the focus of the game though. The focus is the world and its characters, which isn't really the point of Ocarina. Like there's a few characters you can interact with and do side quests, but it's not the focus of the game. The focus is just getting to Ganon to beating the game, and that's really
The
it.
legend.
The legend, yeah. Whereas Majora
legend,
is
if you will.
intimate. Majora is just spending your time uh, in a loop, just spending it how you want to spend it. And yeah, I think they both have their strengths, and I love them both.
Yeah, Majora is such a fantastic look into how you can make a game just you can flip it on its head and take assets that you are but yeah as you mentioned you're familiar with you become familiarized with but put them in a setting where it's like you're just meeting them for the first time and a lot of the times they're kind of hitting you more emotionally too. Like there's so many characters that you want to know what their stories are. One of my favorite parts of that game is when you do the side quests where and it sounds crazy for anything out of context, but when you do the side quest where you save the cows from the aliens, if you stay a day later, you can go on a little you take that ranch Romani Ranch.
Romani,
Uh,
yeah.
Crimea invites you to go on a ride to deliver milk to Clocktown, and there's just this little scene where there's just pleasant song. That this song only plays during this time, and she's kind of just talking to you about the world. And her friend Andrew is gonna get married, and the town is probably is still on for a carnival, but it's like not looking good because the moon's gonna fall. And it's just such a small, intimate moment that you spend with this character, and you care about them. After you do the whole side quest of protecting the milk, she just thanks you and calls you like, oh, you're a man now. You've done this. That's sort of it's just a fun little wholesome thing where it's funny that it ends with you getting a mask of a cow, but that's her decision. That's her decision, and I will gladly accept it. And I am an adult. But yeah, so many interactions like that make this world just a lot more fleshed out and lived in, especially because that you're experiencing it 3 times or 3 days over and over.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's such an uniquely crafted game, and I don't think Zelda's can get away with doing something like that again and being original.
If I could
totally.
describe Majora's Mask in just like one sentence, it'd be like having an out of body experience when you compare it to Ocarina of Time. Just, experiencing a very familiar yet very different place.
Uh,
Um, it's there's like a dreamlike quality to it that they've never quite captured again.
Yeah, that whole feeling of it is right off the bat when Link falls into that one chasm where you see all those symbols coming up, and it's very dreamlike where he just transports there, and so many different ways to analyze and talk about like what do all the symbolism mean, and I love how it's not all explained. Like that's what makes it fascinating is that they don't explain everything. There's still that mystery to it of why this is the way it is, and yeah, I just love it for that.
yeah. That's my favorite kind of video game storytelling is don't show it all. Like, let the story kind of be like an interactive thing with the community. Like just let it live on.
Hmm.
But Brandon, do you have a question from the patrons?
I do. Mine is a little less profound feeling than the discussion we just had, but this comes from Charlie Bird. It's favorite character who originated from a fighting game. And once again, John came up with a joke answer when I brought this up. With he said Ken, which was my answer. It is in fact Ken Masters. And funnily enough, I didn't really like kind of fall in love with Ken as a character until Smash Ultimate, which I know is really weird. Ken's been around for a long time. I've played Street Fighter games in the past, but there's just something about Ken that's so like cool and kind of radical compared to Ryu, where Ryu is just this kind of, like trained, focused warrior, and then Ken's got this crazy hair. He's an all-American dude. I feel like I can relate to him a little bit more. So I really attached to that, and plus I loved his characterization in Street Fighter 5. If I had to throw in another one, it'd be Keelik from Soulcalibur 2. Just because I love bow staffs and I think his moveset's really cool. I mean, not much more to say about his character other than that. But yeah, what about you, John?
I'm going to go for the most a character with rebellion, a character that doesn't play by the rules.
Ooh.
So there's a character called Twintel, and she comes from a game called Arms, and she doesn't use her arms; she uses her hair.
She
And
sure
I
does.
think that kind of like she doesn't trust anyone; she just does her own thing, and I think I can really relate to that because I too would not use my arms in a game called Arms. So I think that's why she is the best video
Bring it back.
game fighting game character.
Bring it back. What about you, Daniel?
Huh. Yeah, I've been thinking about this one because I haven't played too many fighting games, honestly, that like have, its original characters. Like, I guess Smash is like the one I play most because it's Smash. But as far as actual like 2D traditional fighting games go, I played a lot of Blaze Blue back in the day. I played a lot of it. I tried to get a little bit more competitive with it back when like the days of Continuing Shifts and Calamity Trigger were first out. And one of the characters, I don't even know if you all even know, you know Hazama from Blaze Blue? He's like pretty much the villain in that game. He has like a coat, he's got a top hat, not top, he's like a fedora. He looks all nice and classy, and he's a little asshole in the game. But his moveset is so interesting because he has like along with his butterfly knives, he has like this chain that goes outward, and when you press the button, when it connects, you can just tether and whip to that point in the field, whether it's another character or if it's like someone that's jumping, you can latch out and grab them and then slam them on the ground. It's just an interesting moveset, and just how easy it was to hate him in the game was just really fun. I really like to play characters that in a game like that. I try to play somebody who's a little bit more unique, I guess, that have a moveset that you probably wouldn't be your standard. I don't know. That's just me though. But yeah, that sort of deal. Oh yeah, it's kind of like when Violet uses her up B, which she'll latch forward and grab, and then you can like it's like a command grab. Is that sort of deal? But imagine that
Cool.
moves. But imagine that being the basis of the entire move set for like most of the specials, and that's pretty much how his character works. But that and I don't know. I play a lot of Soul Calibur as well, so I would say Keelik because I also enjoy bow staffs, and I guess Brandon and I are just connected in that sort of way spiritually.
I guess
But
so.
I also like I just like Mitsurugi because back then in the day I was like totally into samurai. That time it was really cool for me because I played back when Soul Calibur 2 was the main thing that I would jump into. So and I can't say Link because he's not an original character. So I'd probably
Doesn't
go
count.
with those other two
Although,
characters.
is that Ocarina Link, or is that Link made specifically for Soul Calibur 2?
His visual design is like Ocarina Link.
His
I think we
visual
could argue
design.
that he is an original fighting
It's
game character.
it's the same voice actor as well for
That's
Adult
true.
Link.
That's true.
So
But he also uses weapons from the entire lineage of Zelda.
I guess that's he uses like the Great Fairy Sword and the Cane of Birna, however you say it. Byron. Yeah. The joke weapon was the Bugs Net. That was great. He never had that in Ocarina of Time. So yeah, you have a point there.
The Zebgo in the YouTube chat says, "Did Bean the Dynamite first appear in Sonic the Fighters?" You know, if he did, then I'm taking my answer back. Yeah, Bean the
Oh,
Dynamite.
wow.
What a cool guy he
We're
was.
making some cuts here.
Yeah. I think Brandon's looking up the Bean the Dynamite
I am.
backstory. Where'd he debut, Brandon?
Let's see. Being the Dynamite.
Doing fact checks live.
He is an anthropomorphic woodpecker who competed in a fighting tournament for the Chaos Emeralds.
That sounds like Sonic the Fighters to me.
Yep, first appearance
Wow.
Sonic the Fighters.
Hell
Alright then.
yeah. We've all
He's
changed
such a
our answer
cool
to Dean.
guy.
Yeah.
You're right. He is really cool.
All right. I've got a question too from the patrons. This comes from Ankil P, who says, from Funky Mode to Bowser's Fury, all of Nintendo's first-party Wii U to Switch ports have had some kind of additional features or modes. What I want to know is, which of these extra features or modes is your favorite? And bonus question, is there a mode/feature you'd like to add to one game that wasn't brought over to Switch from Wii U? And I think you might have given away my answer within your question, which is Bowser's Fury. There's been lots of really good additional things to a lot of the Switch ports, like Mario Kart 8 gave us battle mode, Hyrule Warriors gave us all the 3DS content on the game itself.
Hmm.
But Bowser's Fury feels like the future of Mario. It feels like something more than just 3D World. But then, like 3D World itself was sped up. It was given like multiple players and Captain Toad. They really just went all out for that port. There's online play in there, so I think it's kind of hard not to argue that 3D World is the definitive Wii U port, in my opinion.
I mean, that was going to be my answer, not to to copy you, but like,
Yeah,
Oh, no.
it's like you said, it's so hard to argue. Bowser's Fury is basically an entire game just nestled in a game that also got a bunch of improvements. And I know a lot of people here at GVG weren't the biggest fans of Bowser's Fury, which surprised me, but
I
I
loved it.
loved it.
Yeah,
Dude, it was
we all
great.
loved it.
Okay, so all the people who loved it are here. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. People
Um,
with taste are here today. Oh, I see.
but if I were to add some features to a Wii port that we haven't gotten yet, and I know there's not many to go, it would be to Star Fox Zero. It would be a couple
damn it.
things. Sorry.
The Wolf campaign.
Yes, it would be a new campaign that isn't just a retread of Star Fox 64, something a little more original, with way more levels. That game does not have very many actual levels, which is a bit disappointing. And also a more involved kind of co-op online, dogfighting mode, because like the controls in that
Yeah.
game would have been really, really cool in an online mode. It would have allowed for some really dynamic, space battles, and it's a shame that we didn't get to experience that. Now, obviously, you're going to lose the gamepad screen, but I think you can still just kind of do a Kid Icarus Uprising style combat system with some gyro aiming, and that would be sufficient. But yeah, it's just a shame that wasn't there when it's such a tentpole feature of Star Fox games.
There's a few like dual screen gimmicks. Like I remember that the final Andros fight has like an invisible barrier on the TV, but in the cockpit you can see it. But there's no
Right.
reason you can't just press minus and be in the cockpit like any other Star Fox game.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
not that big of a big of a deal, as sad as it is to say that. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more they could do to breathe more life into that game, because I'm a huge Star Fox fan, and it's hard being a Star Fox fan, let me tell you, because we barely ever get any games, and when we do, they turn out
Yeah.
like this.
And
Yeah.
I guess another Wii U game would be Xenoblade Chronicles X. Because one, where the heck is it? And two, the way it ended on Wii U, it was like, oh, there's more, but we're not gonna give it to you. That then just rolls credits. It's such an abrupt ending, and it clearly felt like they wanted more. It's either like there's two things I think was going to happen. Either they ran out of money to do content, or it was meant to be symbolic and be like the story never truly ends if you keep playing the game. I can't tell which they were going for,
Oh,
but it feels like they wanted to add more.
well, maybe after 3 we'll go back to that, but to have
Maybe.
2 numbered entries in a row before a sequel to X, writing's kind of on the wall, if you ask me.
I guess unless
Yeah.
unless like X2 is coming up, and then
That's why they're not releasing X, because they're
maybe.
waiting to give us X2. Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
But we can hope.
Maybe it's part of the re-release. Maybe the whole sequel's in there.
Yeah, maybe. What about you, Daniel? Anything that's jumping to mind?
Yeah, I think a great example of it is Bowser Fury. I mean, it's adding a game to what was already established as a game. It's just a nice little structured it's a nice little roadmap to what they could do for a future Mario game, like a they've done it before with literally the same game with Captain Toad. That became its own game. So this is apparently just a platform to them to experiment to their heart's content and see what we can make forward, be its own title. But I also enjoyed what they did with just other games like Tokyo Mirage Sessions. They added a quality of life things to it. Not a huge amount as big as Bowser's Fury, but like quality of life improvements, different like costumes that you could have. Like they added a costume from Fire Emblem Three Houses. There's a costume from Joker. You can have the main character. It could be Joker from Persona 5, of course, because that game's everywhere. Yeah, and just other little things that they added that made it a bit more fun to go back and replay it again. But if we were taking a game that's on Wii U that we can put onto Switch with more features, like Star Fox Zero would be great to have some kind of campaign afterwards, because this game has not expanded its story since Star Fox Assault. Like it keeps going back
Yeah.
and retelling the story in some way. And here's Miyamoto saying, "Oh, we can't. we have to innovate and make something new every time." But like just the controls, really, we can have so much more with at least the storytelling to help engage people. But slowly, it feels like certain people at Nintendo aren't really pleased with storytelling in certain Nintendo games and other properties that also have kind of fallen off the mark as far as
It
where they used to be. But
it's so weird though when you consider that Star Fox's origins come from being literally a parody of a soap opera, or like a space soap opera. Like, storytelling is part of the experience. That's half of Star Fox, if you ask me. So to not have that be a priority feels like they don't understand what's made Star Fox good in the first place.
yeah. But yeah, if I was gonna go for another answer, because I don't want to just steal Brandon's answer completely, pretty much, oh my gosh, NES Remix Pack. Just like bring NES Remix Pack and just add Super Nintendo remixes to it, and just call it, you can call it the Super NES Remix, and that's a double entendre, because it's also Super NES games, but also it's just an advanced version because there's more to it. And there's oh my god, there's so many different combinations of stuff they can do with that, as far as like we've seen all that in the original, and I wish I would see that again on Switch. That'd be such a hit, I think.
All right, we've gone through our patron questions. To end off, I actually have one more game for you fellas that I've just thought of and brought up myself. So I'm on a Metacritic page for a game from the early 2000s. And I'm going to read out some reviews that Metacritic have chosen as quotes. And I want to see how quickly you can get it. I'm going to start off with some of the more vague ones. Are you ready to try and guess this game?
Okay. Do we just shout out?
Yeah, just shout out once I've read the quotes. And if you haven't got it, I'll read another one.
Okay.
Okay. Superb graphics, excellent music, clever layouts, funny cinema scenes, and ingenious puzzles are among the many bright spots.
Uh-oh.
That's too broad for me at this point.
Ingenious puzzles.
It is very broad.
Wind Waker?
Not Wind Waker. Let's read another one.
Professor Layton.
No. Step into the ultimate playground. When you're faced with a challenge or a puzzle, you can be assured that the correct way to overcome it is the most fun solution.
Okay.
Oh God.
I'm getting Sandbox vibes now. Am I going the right direction?
Might be.
You said early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Oh no.
The outstanding puzzle design and tremendous challenge is what's going to make this game a huge hit, despite any of its flaws.
Can we get like what console it was for? Because I don't know how much we can will this down.
Because you cannot right now, but I'm sure some of these will give it away. A king of platform games has made a triumphant return, and he has shown he has not lost his step.
Super Mario Sunshine?
Yeah. These were all like 10 out of 10 reviews that I was reading out just now. It's funny seeing what people said back then. Like,
I would not have said that.
I waited a lucky 20 hours with nowhere near the 120 shines hidden in Aldelfino. Completionists will want to go back and get everything. And considering how addictively fun the game is, I wouldn't blame them.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't be saying that these days.
All right. I think we've probably exhausted everything we have here, so it might be time to say goodbye to everybody.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you for joining, everybody.
We have some names to read out, though, I believe. We are not used to this structure. Our dads
Let's
aren't
see.
here. Our dads aren't here.
Dad.
Yeah, we're gonna switch this off again. I don't know if someone's gonna disappear, fly up to the void, or we're all gonna be here. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump on this. So
We're just as surprised as you are.
whoa, sorry, Brandon. I guess you're just gonna be disappeared for now. But yeah, we've got our producers on screen right now.
Let me know when it's time to read out the executive producers, and I will do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the many names I'm about to mispronounce.
All right, go ahead and with the list of executive producers, you're good to go.
Brandon Bovia, Cutie Caitlin, Fangs, Dan Entwistle, Z Paddy, Just Brian, Sky Blue Flames, Eastman 23, Adam O'Sullivan, Richard Herrier, Sonic X Ethan Mayer, Logan Daniel, Christopher Bucky, The D-Pad, Highly Anticipated, Vismio, Waffle King, Bertle373, Critter XD, Kitty Kong Facts, Angel Martinez, Vidran Hotek, Joshua Hunter, Benny Yu, Azran127, Black King, Pagoma, Geller, Joseph Rutkin, Titus Malvolio, Geeky Griffin, Lucky Wonderfish, Kyle, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Dan Showmix, Doug Showmix, Andrew Rodriguez, Urim, Brady Power, Becca, Rocks the Cat, Killermox, Eddie B, Kayed, Kit Fisto, Kenneth Lee Stingle, Jessica Toad, Deaneath, Michael McCaw, Matthew Wong, Goran Amber, Straight Lace, Justin Matthews, Hoobie, Too Much Spaghetti, Mega Conrad, Ascaron 809, Ryona, Captain Finlander, I'm not good with names, Nathan Steele, Spicy Pandotter, The Game Orb, Dano the Artist, Super Gamer Dude 101, Grantles, Rayovelix, Synchro Lord, Steve's mum. Hi, Steve's mum. Can I say hi to her? Or is that just a Steve thing? Hi, mum.
You're allowed.
I'll say hi.
Kanyo Wooly, Skull Kid Tiger, Dark Still 01, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Cystick Warrior 29, DJ Jurassic, Super Dang Awesome Unicorn Guy. It's a good thing the names are on screen. Dinner Sonic, Darik, Jeff Ed, Nova the Artist, Blaystar 25, Stag Nasty, Mumbling Yeti, Cameron Sharp. Oh no, I've scrolled. Screamo Shaman, Mason Riley, Keel, Willow Pingree, Hustlebun, Moon Knight, Noah Fitter, Calvin Atkinson, Ryan's Fault, Brainchild, Pat Pending, Jim Wakelin, Lauren Bond, Surya Ayla, Andy Mine P, Ad, Kyle the Monarch, Alpha Lion, Lord Metarax, Kyle Gamer, and Barry Rookie. That's all of them.
Thank you so much for supporting us.
Put him back just in time for the end of the credits, but you're all
I am
now.
very, very sorry for all the names that I said wrong, but I'll all off the top of my head.
It's all good.
If you want to become part of our live audience while we're streaming these live, make sure to check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming. I believe that's the right URL. For as little as $1 a month, lots of fun perks there. Make sure you do that, as well as our Discord server, which is where all this chatting is happening. But yeah, thank you.
You can also find us on Twitch
at twitch.tv/official GVG or GVG officials, one of those.
This episode was sponsored by
GVG.
It wasn't. It was sponsored by the link in the description.
Specifically by the link in the description. But I guess we're headed into the post show then.
Yes, all our patrons come
are.
along. It's gonna get crazy.
Woo!
Whoa.
All right, all.
Until then.
Well, bye everyone. Till we meet again.
I think the list on the screen was outdated too. I forgot to tell Daniel to update that. That is my bad.